G'day folks, welcome back to Off the Land. This is episode 9 if you can believe it. And if you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming. And if you're a new viewer, thanks for coming, and I hope I can earn a like and a subscription from you today. What a week, eh? It's been huge for both Australian politics and me. And when I say me, I mean my YouTube channel. You guys have been absolutely awesome. I've had 448,000 views just this week. I'm staggered. I'm humbled, and I'm so grateful for every view. Can I just put that into perspective for you? This channel is 10 years old, and although I've only really been sort of taking it sort of seriously for 2 years, my lifetime total view count is 2.8 million views. I mean, 2.8 million views is a staggering amount, and I don't understand why that many people have watched me. But I never thought I'd get to 2.3, let alone 2.8 million. 500,000 views in a week, thank you. And the interactions I've had with you people have been 99% positive. And that's fantastic as well. Obviously not all, I mean, because trolls will troll, right? In one short that I made this week, I donned my One Nation hat and laughed because that brings out the trolls every single time. But the trolls only have 3 trolls. And the first one is Gina, with a flare of jet plane chucked in there for good measure. G'day, buddy. The second is how much is Pauline paying me to be her shrill? And thirdly, and probably the worst of them, is Jew lover or some variant of Jew lover. Anyway, don't worry, ladies and gentlemen. I love the trolls. I love everyone who watches my videos. Firstly, knowing YouTube is sending my content to people who will troll me and trigger them, it just makes me laugh. And then, of course, them reacting with me and their inane, nonsensical arguments, you know, thinking it'll get under my skin. See, again, if you don't know how YouTube works, there is an algorithm on why you see these videos. It starts by testing the videos, see who watches them or if they get watched. And if they get watched, they get shared to similar audiences. So if a video gets watched, it gets shared more. So if the trolls watch it, they get shared more. But there's an interaction part of the algorithm. So whether I get a like, a dislike, a share or a comment, or comments that go down in whole threads, YouTube loves it. They think more people will want to see it if there's more interaction. Therefore, I get a wider audience. So trolls, just bring it on. It just makes my channel grow. But as I said earlier, it was a big week for the pollies too. And with that, I need to make my position really clear. I'm not a paid shrill. I have never received a penny from them, or a cent, or a dollar, just to get that clear, nor a perk, nor do I have any contract with them of any description. Although I do intend to vote for them, Barnaby, you're going to get my vote. I am not a member of their party. With that being said, let's get back to the real video. The first big story is, of course, the One Nation Fire the Liar donation drive. If you haven't heard, Albo made a public call through the week that everyone needs to donate $27 to him to help defeat One Nation. Apparently, this has raised a whopping $40,000. Well done, Labor supporters. One Nation countered with a Fire the Liar campaign and donation drive. And as of recording, it's received 3.6 million. Now, before I go any further, I really need to digress, because I want to bring up something that no other media person is talking about. If they've noticed it, I'm not sure, but no one's talking, and I have never seen it anywhere else. The timing of the next federal election is anywhere before May 2028. But Albo asked for $27 to defeat Pauline. And it's a very odd amount. I mean, why would you ask for $27? Unless you've decided, Albo, that you're going to hold the election in 2027. Why else would you ask for such an odd number if you're not planning on holding an election in 27? He obviously wants something big to happen in 27, But I digress over, back to the story. This massive donation drop proves once again that One Nation isn't a protest vote. It's a legitimate party, even the ABC is calling it a legitimate party now, and they are a genuine threat to the Uniparty. And the movement's going to grow, and it's going to continue to grow, because the average people like you and me are sick of the lies and the change of position once a politician gets elected. Chris Minns said it best last week, I don't know, a week or so ago. At least One Nation are intellectually honest. They say Labor's position is wrong and they're on the wrong track. And that's the position they keep. So, yeah, they're honest, but the other side aren't. This is why One Nation is growing. So tell me if you agree or you think differently. Next is Albo's dismissal of the massive donation drive as all lies. But I believe, honestly, that him coming out and lying about it being a lie has boosted the drive immensely. It's actually brought more people on board. Even after the South Australia election result and the Farrer by-election, and every poll since his disastrous budget, they are all saying that One Nation is a threat, but he's still attempting to just lie his way out by dismissing a whole third of the Australian population. And he wonders why his popularity is falling. As some of you would know if you watch my shorts, my catchphrase is, "I'm done with this lot." And as time goes on, that gets more and more true. I'm not going to profess that Pauline and the others are perfect. I'm not even guaranteeing they're going to not be typical politicians when they get in. I mean, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So anything can happen once they're installed. But sitting with the devil you know, and you know what he's doing to this country is just definitely it's definitely not helping anything. But by electing them, I do know one thing, and that will be this will break the Uniparty, removing the farce of the two-party preferred system that we have and ushering in a new style of government. And I don't think it can ever go back to how it was if Pauline gets to become PM or One Nation gets to lead the country. My biggest hope, though, is that she does give power back to the people like she's promised. I hope she listens to the grassroots and brings more things to the people to actually vote on. Yeah, I mean, things of great importance that, can be brought forth with elections or even stand alone, in the form of a referendum or a plebiscite. Oh, I know a whole bunch of people are going to say, "Oh no, more voting." But don't you want to have a say? Don't you want your politicians to actually really know what you actually think? There are many countries that vote on referendums quarterly. I could live with that. How about you? Do you reckon you'd go to once a quarter? So basically the stuff that they're talking about and they want passed, they can put on little bills and ask us what we think about it? I'd be happy. I mean, I don't know all the laws and the bylaws and all of the stuff, but maybe we could install some mechanism that the people could force a question in a referendum or a plebiscite. Maybe 2 million votes or something on a petition, and then at the next opportunity they've got to sort of bring up the question and ask the people. I mean, it'd get rid of all these minor noisy groups. My minor noisy group as well, because if we had to actually vote on it, then things would actually go towards the way that the people are voting. I know I'm ranting, but to me, it would also reduce the power of the lobbyist in Canberra. Like that union lobbyist who goes to Canberra and he says he wants the federal government to, pay for strippers on a Friday afternoon on the work sites, It happens, or that billionaire that everyone keeps going on about. I mentioned her before, what about if she came to the government and said, "Oh, I want to suspend workplace health and safety in all of my mines until they're 100% fully operational." I mean, these sound like stupid things, but they're sort of the things that politicians deal with day to day. People ask them to do these sorts of things. And if they knew that the public would get involved and they know why the public would get involved, I think they'd stop asking. So it'd get rid of half the grift in Canberra in the first place, because these people wouldn't be walking in with their Aldi bags full of cash and asking politicians to do things for them. And hopefully it would start politicians working for the people, because the people have spoken. Yeah, I know, tell him he's dreaming. So, all right, we bashed Albo. Let's move on to the Liberal Party, because everyone says I never do that. They're still running around in circles, mostly over One Nation. But do you remember Tony Abbott? You know, how can you forget him? You know, I was reminded this week about his onion escapade. And yeah, and now I can't get that image out of my head. But what you probably should remember was him losing a Liberal stalwart seat of Warringah on the Northern Beaches that he himself had held since 1994 to the Teal Zali Steggall in 2015. People forget that this is really where the Liberal rot started. It's not just a few weeks back when Pauline started to get a bit of a splurge on, but when the Teal party, not party thing emerged. But of course the Liberals hate learning, so much so they just made him party president. But he seems to have actually learnt something. This week Tony argued that they're never going to win an election if they just be a little less woke than Labor. And then he openly backed One Nation on a preference swap, citing a need to start rebuilding their conservative base rather than chasing inner city focus groups. Well, my jaw is a little bit bruised after I had to lift it up off the floor. And then ATAY, of course, Andrew Taylor, followed this by saying he's left the door open to working with One Nation to defeat Labor. So it looks like they have changed their stance a little bit. Obviously, it's not all plain sailing in the party, because this has exposed divisions in the Liberal ranks. Some moderates, of course, are uneasy about allying themselves, even indirectly, with One Nation, while the Conservatives see it as a necessary pragmatism amid One Nation's surging support, especially in certain seats. ATAY has rejected formal seat sharing deals, but preference discussions are still live. This story itself taps into really bigger themes. I mean, the Liberal Party's post-election soul-searching, you know, after they got such a heavy defeat last time, and the right would shift under Abbott, well, Taylor and now Abbott. So, of course, competition from One Nation on the right flank has had a lot to do with that. And then there's some strategic debates, I'm sure, happening behind closed doors and will continue up until the next federal election, which is due in 2028, but after what Albo did, we know it's going to happen in 2027. What do you reckon? Will we see mass defections to One Nation? Tell me down below what you think. Where's the Liberal Party heading? And finally, as usual, I'd like to end with a good news story. Something that got zero media attention apart from a club media release that got reprinted in a local rag in Adelaide, but ended up a win for everybody involved and shooters in general. Recently, the Adelaide Shooting and Pistol Club, or the Pistol and Shooting Club, held the biggest shooting event in the Southern Hemisphere. It drew 650 competitors from everywhere, including 15 international shooters. It was a week-long event and it needed 70 range officers to officiate. It had 21 stages and in total was the largest shooting event in Australia's history, even surpassing the 2000 Sydney Olympic Games. Several pollies turned up, obviously from One Nation and the Liberals. Are there any other politicians? Oh, I wouldn't know. And they all said they had amazing facilities. They couldn't imagine this event and the scale it was at and how well it was run. So one unnamed politician said he didn't even know there was a competition shooting in Australia and was figuratively blown away by this event and how professional it was run. Just goes to show that even amongst federal mishandling of the Bondi Jihadi event, Australians can still get together and pull off an amazing week of sporting shooting. Well done to all. I know how much work this would have entailed, and to do it in such an incredible way is a credit to the organisers and the participants. Anyway, that's all I got for you. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Like I asked at the beginning, can you please like, subscribe if you haven't, share it around. It's all free and it really helps my channel grow so I can do more stuff like this. Down in the description are links to other ways you can support me, like buying me a coffee. And there's also links to all of the camera gear, lighting gear and microphones, etc. that I use to make my videos. Buying from these links can earn me a commission that will also help my channel continue. But either way, be safe out there and catch you on the next one.